This video is gonna come off really corny, but yeah, I guess is what it is. Um, I can't really begin to think when was the last time I was in a period where I was really happy and satisfied with the way things were going. I wouldn't say I'm depressed at this point in my life. However, I wouldn't say it unhappy. Right? I've been depressed. I've been extremely happy, of course. I've been on both sides of the coin, and but most recently I've been on the former, unfortunately. And when I say most recently, it's happened for a few years already. It's been like this for a few years. It was a breaking point in terms of that. I would say started around about high school side. High school times, when I was maybe about 15, it really started where I wasn't really seeing the bright side of life. I wasn't really enjoying life to its fullest. Now again, probably explain it in another video. So I've always had a lot of friends. I've always I've never been one of those people that are genuine loners. Like no one they have no one in their lives other than maybe their parents. I've had friends throughout my life. Even though it's just gotten smaller and smaller the older I got. I've always had a good amount of friends. Or what I consider a good amount of friends, I guess. In high school, I had multiple friend groups I had access to, I guess. And around that time, 15 years old, I just wasn't really enjoying life. I would say, I started to get sad, I guess. Well, not even sad. I would just say I started to lose interest in basically everything to the point where I say I was probably acting a bit nonchalant, I guess. Not because I was trying to act that way. I was just in a depressive mood. Well, the beginning of a depressive mood. Let's go a few years in the future. Um, well, still the past, but because then this is a story. um, so after high school, I had a gap year, and in that gap year, I didn't really have a job. I was just fucking around, hanging out with my friends, smoking weed, whatever, at the park, the skate park, and I would say that's when I had no job or anything. That's when it started to get to a certain point, started to get to its height. And around about the end of that year, it hit the breaking point. Uh, I will not go into what happened or any details, but let's just leave that breaking point. Few months after the breaking point, I get the job in Auburn. Cool. For a small period of time, I was actually happy. I was getting money. I wasn't happy because I had a job. I was happy because I was actually getting money for once. And it was enough money traveling wise. It was very convenient to the point that I had a decent amount of money to fuck around. Now let's go all the way till now. I would say for a few years, things have always just been the same. There's been a constant cycle of momentary happiness, short lived happiness, and then I'm brought back to what is my new equilibrium, my new normal, which is this sort of depressive state where I constantly feel not tired, not always, but I feel slightly exhausted. There's always bags under my eyes. Not bags in the physical sense, but I just feel like there's bags under my eyes, even though when I look, there isn't. I feel tired. I just want to be distracted, I guess, from, well, life, I guess. I don't really feel like there is anything to really be happy about. Like, I remember back when I was working at this restaurant, there was this overly, there was this overly positive girl at the restaurant I used to work at, and she was actually cool to talk to because she was so friendly, she was kind and shit. And whilst I usually don't like overly positive people. I don't know why. I usually just don't like overly positive people. Actually, she was actually cool, and then something happened, which I'll not go into details at all, and shit just flipped. And this was around about the time that I was about to leave. Not that I knew I was about to leave, but so a week before I actually found out I had another job opportunity, and I just jumped on that train because I didn't want to stay there at the restaurant and shit. And it just made, I guess, it just brought me back to that state. Nothing happened to me specifically, but it just reminded me how shit life is. The only happiness I can find is in distractions, like gaming. I use gaming as a distraction. It's a way I find my peace, I guess. Gaming, watching TV, or so your next show that you've been catching up on anime. I use all of those mediums as a distraction and for a momentary period I'm actually happy. I'm actually slightly at peace, I guess. When I just don't have to be present in life, actually be a person in this functioning, in this dysfunctional actually, dysfunctional society. When I don't have to do that, I actually feel happy. But unfortunately, that's only for fleeting moments.